Pryor grew up in a brothel run by his grandmother, Marie Carter, where his alcoholic mother was a prostitute. If growing up in a house wasn't enough dysfunction in Pryor's life, he also was molested multiple times. Pryor was married 7 times to 5 women. In a daring revelation, the comedic legend shared the intimate contour of his life. He had a sexual relationship with actor Marlon Brando, and that Pryor was open with his friends about his bisexuality and the fact that he slept with men. The evening of June 9, 1980, Pryor poured 151 proof from all over himself and lit himself on fire. Other sources say that what burned him that night was an explosion that happened while he was freebasing cocaine after years immersed in the haze of smoke and the intoxicating elixir of excess. Pryor's resilient heart faced a reckoning. He had a mild heart attack at age 36. Without Pryor's irreverent influence, the comedy world would be a very, very different place. Yet, despite his fame, there are still things you may not know about the comic legend. Join us today as we look at the legend Richard Pryor, and let us know which other legends you would like us to cover. Pryor was born on December 1, 1940 in Peoria, Illinois, and as anybody who's heard his stand-up routines about his childhood knows, the home Pryor grew up in wasn't exactly Norman Rockwell material. The comedian was raised in a WH house with his mother a prostitute, his father a pimp, and his grandmother the madam, who owned a total of 3 brothels. The family also owned a tavern and a pool hall, and did bootlegging too. So much for the good old days being more wholesome. He saw his mother turn tricks for some drunk white man when he was a kid. In addition, he saw his father take the money, and he saw what it did to them. One of the women his mother slept with for money was Peoria's mayor. He saw his father severely beat his mother when he was young, before she finally left when he was 5. His mother was rough with him as well, yet Pryor said that it could have been worse. At least Gertrude, his mother, didn't flush me down the toilet. He said this wasn't just a comic riff. Pryor once found a dead baby in a box in the house after Gertrude abandoned him when he was 10. Pryor was raised primarily by Marie, a tall, violent woman who would beat him for any of his eccentricities. Pryor was one of 4 children raised in his grandmother's brothel. He was sexually abused at age 7 and expelled from school at the age of 14 while in Peoria. He became a Prince Hall Freemason at a local lodge. If growing up in a house wasn't enough dysfunction in Pryor's life, he also was molested multiple times, first by a teenage boy he referred to as Bubba. When he was 6, Pryor did discover something else in his childhood: the ability to make others laugh. When he was in the 6th grade, he was late to school a lot until his teacher made a deal with him. If he showed up on time, he'd get 10 minutes once a week to perform slapstick routines in front of his classmates. It was his first audience, and it made him want to show up to school on time. Decades down the line, Peoria would pay homage to his enduring talent by erecting a statue in his honor. Pryor's journey included a stint in the U.S. Army from 1958 to 1960, but the majority of his service unfolded within the confines of an Army prison. A 1999 profile in The New Yorker detailed an incident in West Germany that led to Pryor's incarceration. Incensed by a white soldier's excessive amusement at racially charged scenes in Douglas Sirr's film Imitation of Life, Pryor, along with several fellow black soldiers, resorted to beating and stabbing the soldier, fortunately without causing fatal injuries. In 1963, Pryor relocated to New York City, where he began frequenting clubs alongside notable figures such as Bob Dylan and Woody Allen. On one memorable night, he opened for the esteemed singer and pianist Nina Simone at New York's Village Gate. Simone vividly recalled Pryor's intense performance anxiety, offering comfort by cradling him in her arms until he regained composure. An intimate gesture repeated on subsequent anxious nights. September 1967 marked a pivotal moment for Pryor. Characterized as an epiphany in his autobiography, Pryor Convictions, in a sold-out Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas with Dean Martin among the audience, Pryor bewilderingly declared, "What the heck am I doing here?" before abruptly leaving the stage. This event marked the inception of Pryor incorporating profanity, including the controversial term, into his act. His 1968 debut comedy recording, Richard Pryor on the Dove Reprised label, documented this transformative period in his routine. Tragically, his parents passed away during this period, his mother in 1967 and his father in 1968. In 1969, Pryor embraced the counterculture spirit as he relocated to Berkeley, California, immersing himself in a community that included influential figures like Huey P. Newton and Ishmael Reed. In 1970, Pryor, in a deal with the comedy-centric independent record label Laugh Records, a year later, he recorded his second album, Craps After Hours. Despite still dwelling in relative obscurity, Pryor made a notable appearance in the 1972 documentary Watts, where he humorously dissected the tragic comic complexities of race relations in Watts and the United States. Seeking broader horizons, Pryor secured a deal with the larger label Stax Records in 1973. The turning point arrived with his third album, The Breakthrough, That Crazy 1974. However, Laugh Records, claiming ownership of Pryor's recording rights, nearly succeeded in halting the album's sale. Through legal maneuvers, negotiations ensued, resulting in Pryor's release from his Laugh contract. In exchange, Laugh gained the rights to release previously unreleased material recorded between 1968 and 1973. That Nigger's Crazy achieved both commercial and critical acclaim, certified gold by the Raw, and honored with the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album at the 1975 Grammy Awards. Amidst the legal tussle, Stax Records briefly closed its doors, prompting Pryor return to reprise Warner Brothers Records. The label promptly re-released That Nigger's Crazy following his first album with the new label. Is It Something I Said? The second release mirrored its predecessor's success, eventually gaining platinum certification from the RIAA and winning the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Recording at the 1976 Grammy Awards. Richard Pryor entered the realm of matrimony 7 times, engaging in unions with a total of 5 remarkable women. The opening chapter saw Patricia Price as his first wife, a union that spanned from 1960 to 1961, setting the stage for the intricate relationships to follow in the late 1960s. Shelley Boney's entered the scene, marrying Pryor in 1967. However, their union proved ephemeral, concluding in divorce in 1969, leaving. Before navigate the next chapter of his romantic odyssey, Deborah Maguire emerged as the protagonist of the 1977 chapter, an aspiring model and actress who exchanged vows with Pryor on September 22nd. Their love story was marked by a tumultuous dance of separations and reconciliations, ultimately culminating in a divorce in August 1978. Jennifer Lee, an actress and interior designer, entered Pryor's life. The roller coaster of their relationship mirrored Pryor's struggles with drug addiction, leading to a divorce in October 1982. Yet, their story did not conclude there, as they rekindled their connection, remarried on June 29, 2001, and remained together until Pryor's final days in 2005. The mid-1980s introduced Flynn Bain, an aspiring actress who became Pryor's 5th wife in October 1986. Their story unfolded with a series of dramatic twists, featuring multiple divorce filings and withdrawals. Despite the turbulence, their official divorce took place in July 1991, with the couple initially remarrying on April 1, 1990, adding another layer of complexity to Pryor's matrimonial tapestry. Pryor's romantic escapades extended beyond the realm of marriage, involving untold affairs and relationships. One noteworthy liaison was with actress Pam Grier, his co-star in the 1977 film Grease Lightning. In her memoir, Grier recounted their tumultuous relationship, detailing Pryor's excessive cocaine use, which she claimed accumulated in her vagina. Despite Pryor's comedic brilliance, he grappled with the demons of his troubled childhood, often succumbing to fits of rage. Reports from The New Yorker indicated that Pryor was prone to physically abusing women. His struggles with substance abuse and a penchant for 5 firearms further complicated his personal life, leading to destructive incidents such as shooting up a car and a fish tank in 1986. Jennifer Lee Pryor, then his ex-wife, shared candid insights in an interview with People magazine about Richard Pryor's semi-autobiographical film, JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. Following their initial divorce, she characterized the movie as vacuous and courageously denounced Pryor as an abuser, challenging the film's portrayal of his life. In a poignant revelation, she confronted Pryor about his upbringing, recounting, "You told me you watched your father and the pimps beat up the prostitutes as if they owned them and had the right to hit them. You told me it was the macho myth that made you think beating up women was the way to be a big, strong man. I know I have the bruises and the hospital records to prove it." Despite the gravity of these revelations, Lee ultimately chose to remarry Pryor, standing by him until his death nearly a decade after Pryor's passing. The 2014 biographical book Becoming Richard Pryor by Scott Saul shed light on Pryor's acknowledgement of his bisexuality. Subsequently, in 2018, Quincy Jones and Jennifer Lee Pryor's widow disclosed that Pryor had a sexual relationship with actor Marlon Brando, underscoring Pryor's openness with friends about his bisexuality and intimate encounters with men. Pryor's daughter Rain contested the assertion, prompting Lee to claim that Rain was in denial about her father's bisexuality in a candid revelation to TMZ. On TV, Lee commented on the era in which Pryor lived, stating it was the 70s. Seconds. Drugs were still good. If you did enough cocaine, you'd engage in relations with the radiator and send it flowers in the morning. Pryor himself addressed the spectrum of his experiences in his autobiography, Pryor Convictions, acknowledging a two-way relationship with Mitra Shah, a trans woman, describing it as 2 weeks of being gay. The autobiography provides a glimpse into the complex and multifaceted nature of Pryor's personal journey and relationships. In his initial comedy special, Live and Smokin', Richard Pryor delved into explicit discussions, including the topic of performing foddy. The comedian boldly stated in both the special and at a 1977 gay rights show at the Hollywood Bowl, "I have sucked you know what." On the night of June 9, 1980, conflicting accounts surround a harrowing incident involving Pryor. Some sources, including Pryor himself, assert that he D'd himself with 151 proof and set himself ablaze. However, alternate reports supported by the Los Angeles police contend that an explosion occurred during a session of free-basing cocaine, resulting in Pryor's burns. As he remained engulfed in flames, he raced down Parthenia Street from his Los Angeles residence until apprehended by the police. Pryor sustained severe second and third-degree burns over more than half of his body, requiring a 6-week recovery at the Grossman Burn Center at Sherman Oaks Hospital in Los Angeles. His daughter Rain attributed the incident to a bout of drug-induced psychosis, reflecting on Pryor's descent into addiction. His widow Jennifer Lee disclosed, "After 2 weeks of watching him getting addicted to this stuff, I moved out. It was clear the drug had moved in and it had become his lover, and everything I did not exist." The toll of Pryor's tumultuous lifestyle manifested further in health challenges. In November 1977, he endured a mild heart attack at the age of 36, only to recover and resume performing in January of the following year. A subsequent diagnosis of multiple sclerosis in 1986 added to his health woe. In 1990, while in Australia, Pryor suffered a second heart attack, leading to triple heart bypass surgery in 1991. By late 2004, his sister reported a loss of voice due to multiple sclerosis. However, on January 9, 2005, Jennifer Lee refuted this claim on Pryor's official website, quoting him as saying, "I'm sick of hearing this about me. Not talking, not true. I have good days, bad days, but I am still talking." This statement offered a glimpse into Pryor's resilience amid the challenges he faced in the later stages of his life. Back to his career journey, Pryor's winning streak continued with the 1976 release of Bicentennial. securing his third consecutive gold album and the third consecutive Grammy for Best Comedy Recording in 1977, as Pryor fame soared with each successful album and later through his concert films and the infamous 1980 freebasing accident Laugh Records. Strategically published albums of older material to capitalize on his growing arena, a practice they sustained until 1983. The thematic ties between the covers of Laugh albums and Pryor film projects such as Are You Serious for Silver Streak? 1976, The Wizard of Comedy for the Wiz 1978, and Insane for Stir Crazy 1980 further underscored Pryor's multifaceted creative contributions. Notably, Pryor co-wrote Blazing Saddles 1974, directed by Mel Brooks and starring Gene Wilder, although initially intended for the lead role of Bart. Pryor's lack of insurance led to Cleveland Little being cast in the iconic role. In 1975, Pryor made history as the inaugural black host on the first season of Saturday Night Live SNL, accompanied by his longtime girlfriend, actress and talk show host Catherine McKee. The night's highlights included a memorable and controversial word association skit with Chevy Chase. Following this milestone, Pryor ventured into his variety show, The Richard Pryor Show, debuting on NBC in 1977. However, the show faced an untimely demise after just 4 episodes, potentially due to the television audience's discomfort with its contentious subject matter. Pryor, steadfast in his comedic convictions, refused to compromise his material for network censors, expressing, "They offered me 10 episodes, but I said all I wanted to." And for the series showcased Pryor portraying the first black president of the United States, stirring the Star Wars most Ely Cantina exploring gun violence in a non-comedic skit lampooning racism on the sinking Titanic and using costumes and visual distortion to humorously appear nude. In 1979, at the pinnacle of his success, Pryor embarked on a transformative journey to Kenya. His return to the United States from Africa marked a significant personal pledge. He swore never to use the word in his stand-up comedy routine again. In 1980, Richard Pryor achieved a historic milestone as the first black actor to command $1 million salary for a single film, securing the lead role in Stir Crazy. However, during the production of the film on June 9, 1980, Pryor, immersed in a free-basing episode, made headlines by dousing himself in rum and setting himself on fire. This dramatic incident became part of his stand-up routine in Richard Pryor Live on the Sunset Strip 1982, where he humorously attributed the mishap to dunking a cookie into low-fat pasteurized milk, resulting in an explosion. Concluding the bit, he playfully mocked those who cracked jokes about the incident by waving a lit match and quipping, "What's that Richard Pryor running down the street yet?" Behind the scenes, Pryor's reputation took a turn for the challenging, known for his demanding and disrespectful demeanor on film sets, as well as his self-centered and difficult requests. Pryor's behavior drew criticism. Co-star Gene Wilder revealed in his autobiography, Kiss Me Like a Stranger, that Pryor was consistently tardy during the filming of Stir Crazy. Among his requests was a helicopter to transport him to and from the set, justifying it with his star status. Pryor faced accusations of leveraging allegations of on-set racism to co-film producers into providing him with additional compensation. This chapter in Pryor's career reflected both his triumphs and the complexities that came with his rising stardom. One day, during our lunch hour in the last week of filming, the craft serviceman handed out slices of watermelon to each of us. Richard, the whole camera crew, and I sat together in a big sound studio, eating several watermelon slices, talking and joking. As a gag, some members of the crew used a piece of watermelon as a frisbee and tossed it back and forth to each other. One piece of watermelon landed at Richard's feet. He got up and went home. Filming stopped the next day. Richard announced that he knew very well what the significance of watermelon was. He said that he was quitting show business and would not return to this film. The day after that, Richard walked in all smiles. I wasn't privy to all the negotiations that went on between Columbia and Richard's lawyers, but the camera operator, who who had thrown that errant piece of watermelon had been fired that day. I assume now that Richard was using drugs during as Crazy Pryor crossed paths with actress Pam Grier through comedian Freddie Prinze, sparking a romantic connection during their joint involvement in Greased Lightning 1977. Their relationship went beyond the screen as Grier played a pivotal role in Pryor's life, assisting him in improving his reading skills and attempting to aid him in overcoming drug addiction. Despite his involvement with Grier, Pryor entered into another marriage while still dating her during the filming of Some Kind of Hero, 1982. Pryor found companionship with actress Margot Kidder, and their connection quickly deepened. Kay candidly expressed that she fell in love with Pryor in 2 seconds flat upon their initial meeting. On the morning of December 10, 2005, just 9 days after celebrating his 65th birthday, Pryor experienced a third heart attack at his Los Angeles residence. Despite his wife's efforts to resuscitate him, was rushed to a local West Side hospital, where he was declared dead at 7:58 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Jennifer, his widow, shared at the end, there was a smile on his face following his passing. Pryor was cremated and his ashes were entrusted to his family. In 2019, Jennifer scattered his ashes in the bay at Hana, Hawaii, marking a poignant farewell. Forensic pathologist Michael Hunter attributed Pryor's fatal heart attack to coronary artery disease, influenced in part by years of tobacco smoking. This conclusion sheds light on the health challenges previously faced, encapsulating the complexities of his vibrant yet tumultuous life.